Hello and welcome. Today we're diving deep into time-honored gardening methods that have sustained communities for generations through every challenge imaginable. Picture this, a thriving garden producing incredible yields without synthetic chemicals, costly machinery, or complex systems. This is traditional wisdom, proven approaches that have nourished families through harsh conditions, economic hardships, and unpredictable seasons using straightforward, earth-friendly methods that complement nature's own design. From converting household waste into nutrient-rich soil amendments to observing seasonal indicators for perfect timing, these 50 cultivation strategies deliver results whether you're working with expansive farmland or just a modest balcony container setup. So get ready to take notes. These proven, practical methods will revolutionize your growing approach. Let's explore 50 traditional gardening strategies you'll wish you'd discovered years ago. Hack 1. Underground fish nutrition for explosive growth. We're beginning with something unconventional yet remarkably effective, placing fish remnants beneath your plants, an ancient indigenous people shared with early settlers that remains in use today. The method is beautifully straightforward. Excavate a cavity approximately 12 inches deep, position fish parts inside, skull, skeleton, or complete small specimens, layer several inches of earth on top, then plant directly overhead. During decomposition, this creates an exceptional time-release nutrient source, feeding roots for extended periods. Crops like tomatoes, corn, and squash, positioned above fish material, develop noticeably stronger, more vibrant, and significantly more productive. It's essentially providing your garden with natural ocean-derived superfood. Concerned about scavenging animals or unpleasant smells? Simply place the material deeper or freeze it beforehand. This traditional method may seem peculiar, but outcomes speak for themselves. Cultivators consistently experience harvests that are remarkably more bountiful with practically zero additional cost. Your most fruitful garden is within reach, and we're only beginning. Next, we'll discover how to transform kitchen refuse into gardening treasure. Hack 2. Complete composting system. In traditional gardens, nothing goes to waste. Food remnants, poultry droppings, autumn leaves, anything once living becomes compost material. This dark, friable mixture is the powerhouse driving their famously abundant gardens. Creating your own system is straightforward. Alternate carbon-rich materials like straw and dried foliage with nitrogen-rich items like vegetable scraps and fresh clippings. Introduce moisture, rotate contents weekly or bi-weekly, and allow natural processes to work their transformation. The outcome isn't merely fertilizer. It's a thriving biological community that revitalizes your earth from beneath. Quality compost does more than nourish plants. It enriches soil texture, improves structure, and activates biological activity. It enables your growing area to retain hydration longer and naturally resist disease and pest challenges. Traditional families typically allow their materials to decompose over multiple months, but even a rapid 3-section arrangement works remarkably well. Apply it in cultivation beds, blend it into container mixtures, or distribute it around growing crops. You'll reduce spending on commercial fertilizers and cultivate healthier produce too. While compost develops long-term soil quality, sometimes plants require immediate nutrition. That's where our next hack becomes valuable. Hack 3. Protective ground coverage. In traditional gardens, you'll seldom observe exposed earth between plants. Instead, they blanket it with protective layers of organic material, what cultivators call mulching. This simple practice conserves innumerable hours of labor while significantly improving plant vitality. Straw, hay, Fallen leaves, grass trimmings, all these substances serve identical important functions when distributed around your plants. They prevent weeds before germination, preserve soil moisture during warm weather, and moderate ground temperature to shield roots. As these materials slowly decompose, they nourish the earth like a gradual release fertilizer. The practice couldn't be more straightforward. Once your plants reach several inches tall, distribute a 2 to 4 inch blanket of your selected material around them, pulling it slightly from stems. That's everything. No specialized equipment or complex techniques necessary. With earth properly blanketed, you'll irrigate less frequently, remove fewer weeds, and harvest more vigorous crops. It's one of the most time-saving methods in cultivation. Now, let's examine how something you'd typically discard after morning, meals, can provide certain plants a vital nutrient enhancement. Hack 4. Preserve eggshells for garden use. Traditional households never discard eggshells. They preserve them for their gardens. Why? Because each shell contains abundant calcium that plants require, particularly tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants. The method is wonderfully straightforward. Gather shells in a vessel, allow them to dry, then pulverize them into fine fragments. Distribute these around your plants or blend them into planting cavities. During slow breakdown, they release calcium that prevents blossom end deterioration, that frustrating dark marking that ruins tomatoes when calcium is insufficient. There's another advantage too. Pulverized eggshells form a rough boundary that slugs and snails dislike crossing. A circle of shells surrounding susceptible plants can significantly minimize damage from these garden pests. For seedling containers, you can actually plant directly in rinsed half shells filled with growing medium. When transplanting time arrives, place the entire thing underground. The shell will decompose and nourish the plant during growth. It's a perfect demonstration of traditional philosophy. What appears like refuse is actually a precious resource. Coming up after our pause, another kitchen remainder that can energize your garden, and it's something most people wash down the drain. Hack 5. Utilize coffee grounds and tea remnants. That morning beverage can serve dual purposes in your garden. Traditional cultivators waste nothing, and these breakfast leftovers create excellent plant nutrition. Coffee grounds contain rich nitrogen and enhance soil composition. They're especially beneficial for acid-preferring plants like blueberries, azaleas, and numerous vegetables. Simply distribute a fine layer around plants or incorporate grounds into your compost to offset dry materials like leaves. The grounds decompose rapidly, releasing nutrients while attracting earthworms, nature's soil enhancers. Used tea remnants function similarly. They can be scattered directly around plants or steeped in water for a gentle fertilizing brew your plants will appreciate. The tannins and minerals in tea progressively enrich the earth and boost its water-holding capacity. Both coffee grounds and tea leaves make outstanding compost additions and even discourage certain pests. It's a perfect demonstration of the traditional approach, discovering value in what others discard. Next, we'll address one of the greatest challenges in compact gardens: restricted space. The traditional solution might astonish you. Hack 6. Vertical plant cultivation. Space is valuable in traditional gardens, where families cultivate food to sustain them year-round. Their solution: growing upward rather than outward by training vining plants onto vertical structures. Beans, peas, cucumbers, tomatoes, and even compact melons can be cultivated vertically using straightforward trellises, stakes, or strings. This method not only conserves substantial garden space, but also enhances air movement, minimizing disease issues while making harvesting simpler. No more searching through sprawling vines for concealed vegetables. You can construct supports from virtually anything: Wooden poles, salvage branches, livestock panels, or even strings suspended from overhead structures. The renowned Florida weave technique uses twine woven between posts to support tomato plants without expensive containers. When vines develop upward, their fruits mature cleaner and more consistently, with reduced pest complications. Plus, you can cultivate double the food in the exact same space, a perfect solution for today's smaller properties and gardens. With your garden now expanding skyward, our next hack focuses on what might be the most misinterpreted garden activity: proper watering technique. Hack 7. Deep watering, infrequent schedule. The traditional watering approach is counterintuitive but remarkably successful. Irrigate thoroughly but infrequently, rather than providing plants a light daily sprinkling. This technique encourages roots to extend deeper into earth, where moisture persists even during hot periods. Plants with deep roots become naturally drought-resistant and more stable. Conversely, frequent shallow watering develops weak, surface-level root networks that dry rapidly and make plants reliant on constant attention. In traditional gardens, watering is performed at the plant's bases, not overhead. This minimizes disease complications by maintaining foliage dry while delivering moisture directly where it's required. Morning is the optimal watering time, as this provides plants the entire day to absorb moisture and permits foliage to dry before nightfall. How do you determine watering time? Simply insert your finger into earth up to the second knuckle. If it feels dry at that depth, it's irrigation time. If it remains damp, wait another day. This mindful approach conserves water, time, and creates more robust plants. Now we'll examine how certain plants can benefit each other when strategically positioned together. Hack 8. Companion planting combinations. In traditional gardens, plants aren't positioned randomly. They're thoughtfully paired to help each other flourish. This practice, called companion planting, forms natural partnerships that enhance growth and minimize pest complications without chemicals. The classic demonstration is the three sisters: corn, beans, and squash, cultivated together. The corn supplies a natural climbing structure for beans. Beans enhance the soil with nitrogen that nourishes the corn, and squash spreads along ground level, its broad leaves suppressing weeds and preserving moisture for all three plants. Other powerful pairings include tomatoes with basil, enhancing flavor and repelling insects, carrots with onions, each deterring the other's pests, and marigolds with vegetables, discouraging harmful soil nematodes. Not all plants make beneficial neighbors, though. Onions inhibit peas, potatoes and tomatoes compete for nutrients, and certain herbs can dominate nearby vegetables. Understanding these relationships helps create gardens where plants support rather than compete with each other. Up next, the secret brew recipe traditional gardeners use to provide plants an immediate growth enhancement. Hack 9. Create liquid fertilizer brews. While compost develops soil over time, sometimes plants require an immediate nutrient enhancement. The traditional solution? Homemade liquid fertilizers they call brews. Powerful plant nutrition you can create from materials you probably already possess. The simplest version is compost brew. Place a shovelful of finished compost in a cloth sack or old fabric case, submerge it in a container of water, and allow it to steep for 24 to 48 hours. The resulting dark liquid contains readily available nutrients and beneficial microorganisms that feed plants and soil organisms. Other effective options include brews made from wild plants like stinging nettles, aged manure, or even banana skins. Each brings different advantages. Nettles provide balanced nutrition, manure adds nitrogen, and banana skins boost potassium for flowering and fruiting. Apply these natural enhancers by watering around plant roots or spraying diluted versions directly on foliage during active growth. Plants respond rapidly, often displaying greener leaves and enhanced vigor within days. It's nature's perfect plant nutrition, free, sustainable, and remarkably successful. After the pause, we'll reveal how traditional gardeners know precisely when to plant without ever checking a calendar. Hack 10. Observe nature's planting indicators. Traditional cultivators don't rely on printed planting schedules. They observe nature's own signals to determine planting time. This approach, sometimes called phenology, connects planting times to seasonal events in your specific location. Traditional wisdom includes planting peas when forsythia blooms, beans when lilacs flower, and corn when oak foliage reaches the size of a squirrel's ear. These natural indicators align perfectly with soil temperatures and conditions needed for successful germination, far more accurately than calendar dates that can't account for early or late springs. Other signs include waiting to plant heat-preferring crops until you can comfortably sit on bare earth, or when certain wild plants flower. These observations connect cultivators to the natural rhythms of their specific location and microclimate. Some traditional communities also consider lunar phases, planting above-ground crops during the waxing moon and root crops during the waning moon. While science debates the effectiveness, generations of cultivators swear by these rhythms. This attentive approach reminds us that successful cultivation means working with nature's timing, not fighting against it. Our next hack prevents complications before they start with a straightforward rotation arrangement anyone can use. Hack 11. Annual crop rotation. In traditional farming, cultivating the same crop in the same location year after year is a formula for difficulty. Instead, they systematically relocate plants to different areas each season, a practice that naturally maintains soil fertility and prevents pest accumulation. The concept is straightforward. Different plant families extract different nutrients from the earth and attract different pests. By rotating where you plant them, you interrupt disease cycles and allow soil to recover naturally. A basic rotation might follow heavy consumers like tomatoes and corn with soil enhancers like peas and beans, then light consumers like root vegetables, and finally green manures to rejuvenate the earth. This 4-year cycle prevents any single nutrient from becoming exhausted and disrupts the life cycles of pests and diseases. Even in compact gardens, rotating plant families between different beds or containers creates a noticeable difference in plant health and yield. It's one of the simplest yet most effective ways to maintain garden productivity year after year. Let's move on to a powerful natural pest management method you can create right in your kitchen. Hack 12. Garlic and onion spray solution. When pests threaten their gardens, traditional cultivators reach for a solution that's as effective as it is straightforward: garlic and onion spray. This natural repellent keeps many harmful insects away without harming beneficial ones or leaving toxic residues on food. To create it, blend several garlic cloves and half an onion with a cup of water. Strain the mixture, add a drop of mild dish soap to help it adhere to leaves, and dilute it with more water. The resulting spray can be applied directly to plants troubled by aphids, caterpillars, beetles, and other unwanted visitors. The strong sulfur compounds in garlic and onions confuse insects and mask the scent of your crops, making them harder for pests to locate. Many traditional gardeners also plant garlic and onions throughout their gardens as permanent pest deterrents and to provide additional harvests. This spray works best applied in the evening and may need reapplication after rain, but its effectiveness makes it worthwhile. It's perfectly safe for people, pets, and food crops, unlike many commercial alternatives. Next, we'll examine why some of the most important garden workers have 6 legs. Hack 13. Attract beneficial insects. Traditional cultivators understand a fundamental garden truth: not all insects are enemies. In fact, many are valuable allies that control pests more effectively than any spray. The key is creating an environment that attracts and supports these helpful visitors. Ladybugs consume aphids by the thousands. Lacewings eat thrips, mites, and small caterpillars. Ground beetles hunt slugs and cutworms. Pollinators like bees ensure vegetables and fruits develop properly. By welcoming these helpers, you create a natural balance that reduces pest problems automatically. To attract beneficial insects, plant flowers throughout your vegetable garden, especially varieties with small clustered blooms like dill, fennel, zinnias, cosmos, and sweet alyssum. Provide shallow water sources with stones for insects to land on while drinking. Avoid broad-spectrum pesticides that eliminate helpers alongside pests. You can even create insect hotels with hollow stems, pine cones, and rolled cardboard to provide nesting sites for solitary bees and predatory insects. These simple structures support beneficial populations year-round. This approach transforms your garden into a self-regulating ecosystem where nature handles much of the pest control for you. After the pause, we'll explain why autumn might be the most important season for garden preparation. Hack 14. Autumn Bed Preparation. Traditional gardeners don't wait for spring to prepare their beds. They do the important work in autumn when the growing season ends but the earth is still workable. This head start creates perfect growing conditions months before the first spring planting. After final harvests, clear away spent plants, distribute compost or aged manure across the surface, and blend it lightly into the top few inches of earth. Some cultivators cover beds with a blanket of leaves or straw for winter protection, while others plant cover crops like winter rye or clover to prevent erosion and add organic matter. This autumn preparation accomplishes several things simultaneously. Organic matter begins breaking down over winter, enriching the earth naturally. Weed seeds and pests exposed to winter weather are less likely to survive, and come spring, the earth is already loose and fertile, ready for planting without the rush of spring preparation. The outcome? You can start planting weeks earlier in pre-prepared earth that's warmer, more fertile, and less compacted than earth that's been sitting untouched all winter. Hack 15. Strategic Pruning. Random trimming won't improve your garden, but strategic pruning, as practiced by traditional gardeners, can dramatically increase yields and plant health. The key is understanding why and where to make each cut. For tomatoes, removing lower foliage prevents disease splash-up from the earth, while pinching certain side shoots, called suckers, directs energy into fruit production rather than excess foliage. Squash vines benefit from tip pruning to encourage bushier growth and more female flowers. Even herbs like basil and mint produce better when regularly trimmed to prevent flowering. Fruit trees and berry bushes receive special attention, with traditional growers focusing on open centers that allow light and air to reach all branches. Dead, diseased, or crossing branches are always removed first, followed by carefully selected cuts that improve structure and production. The guiding principle is straightforward. Every cut should serve a specific purpose, whether improving airflow, directing growth, or focusing the plant's energy where it's most beneficial. Hack 16. Learn from weeds. Now let's discuss why those weeds in your garden might actually be telling you something important. Traditional cultivators see weeds differently, not just as enemies to eliminate, but as indicators that reveal important information about your earth. Before removing them, take a moment to observe what's growing and what it might be telling you. Dandelions and plantain often indicate compacted earth that needs loosening. Chickweed thrives in rich, fertile conditions, good news for vegetables planted there. Sorrel or moss suggests acidic earth that might need balancing for certain crops. Each volunteer plant offers clues about earth conditions you can't see. This mindset transforms weeding from a mindless chore into a diagnostic tool. Rather than fighting an endless battle, traditional gardeners ask, why is this weed here? What conditions are allowing it to thrive? Then they address the underlying issues, aerating compacted earth, adjusting pH, or improving drainage. Sometimes the weeds themselves are beneficial. Dandelions bring up deep nutrients with their long taproots, and clover adds nitrogen to the earth. Traditional cultivators might even selectively allow certain weeds to remain where they're not competing with crops. When you do need to clear an area of weeds, our next hack shows how to do it without chemicals or endless digging. Hack 18. Cardboard Smothering Method. When traditional cultivators need to clear an area of weeds or convert lawn to garden, they don't reach for chemicals or spend hours digging. Instead, they use a remarkably effective technique, covering the area with plain cardboard and organic materials. The method is straightforward but powerful. Lay flattened cardboard boxes directly on the ground, overlapping edges to prevent light from reaching below. Then cover the cardboard with several inches of compost, aged manure, leaves, or straw. The cardboard blocks light that weeds need to grow, while gradually decomposing to add organic matter to the earth beneath. Within a few months, the area underneath is transformed. Weeds die off, earthworms multiply as they feed on the decomposing cardboard, and the earth becomes loose and fertile. When planting time arrives, you can cut openings directly through the partially decomposed layers and plant into the enriched earth below. This technique, sometimes called sheet mulching, eliminates the need for tilling, preserves earth structure, and transforms waste materials into garden assets. Speaking of earthworms, let's examine why these humble creatures might be your most important garden allies. Hack 18. Foster earthworm populations. Traditional gardeners know the truth about earthworms. They're nature's perfect soil improvers, worth their weight in gold. These humble creatures aerate earth, break down organic matter, and leave behind nutrient-rich castings that plants appreciate. Creating a worm-friendly garden isn't complicated. First, avoid chemical fertilizers and pesticides that harm worm populations. Keep earth covered with organic mulch to provide food and maintain moisture. Minimize tilling, which disrupts worm tunnels and can cut worms in half. Add compost regularly to feed soil life, including your underground workforce. For quick results, you can directly introduce worms to poor earth, but in a healthy garden, they usually find their way naturally. Some traditional families even maintain worm bins, where red wiggler worms transform kitchen scraps into premium vermicompost for seedlings and garden beds. The result of a worm-rich garden is striking. Earth becomes darker, looser, and more fertile, while plants grow stronger with less fertilizer needed. It's like having thousands of tiny garden helpers working continuously. After the pause, we'll reveal a straightforward homemade tool that ensures perfect planting spacing every time. Hack 19. Wooden Planting Guide. Ever wondered how traditional gardens maintain those perfectly straight, evenly spaced rows? The secret is a straightforward homemade tool, the planting guide. This ingenious device ensures consistent spacing without measuring each time you plant. The concept is straightforward. Take a flat board about 4 to 6 feet long and mark it with evenly spaced notches or openings matching your desired planting spacing. Lay the board across your prepared bed, create openings at each mark with a stick or dibber, drop in seeds or seedlings, and move the board down the row to continue. The result is precise spacing with minimal effort. This tool is especially valuable for small seeds like carrots, radishes, and lettuce, where consistent spacing prevents overcrowding. Different boards can be created for various crops and spacing needs, from close-planted greens to wider-spaced cabbage or broccoli. Beyond efficiency, proper spacing improves airflow between plants, reduces disease problems, and allows each plant the right amount of light and nutrients to thrive. Hack 20. Pre-soak seeds. This straightforward traditional trick dramatically improves germination rates, soaking seeds before planting. This practice gives seeds a head start by softening their protective coatings and jump-starting the growth process. Larger seeds like peas, beans, corn, and squash benefit most from this technique. Place them in a shallow bowl of room temperature water for 8 to 12 hours before planting, never longer than 24 hours or they may begin to deteriorate. For stubborn seeds like parsley or morning glories, add a tiny splash of hydrogen peroxide to the water to further soften the seed coat and eliminate any fungal spores. When soaked, seeds absorb water and begin the germination process. The outcome? They sprout days faster than dry planted seeds and show much higher success rates, especially in cool spring earth. Some traditional gardeners take this a step further by adding liquid seaweed or compost brood to the soaking water, providing a gentle nutrient boost even before the seed sprouts. Once seeds are plump and ready, plant them immediately in moist earth. Now let's examine how traditional cultivators start seedlings without expensive equipment. Hack 21. Repurpose containers for seedlings. Forget expensive seed starting containers. Traditional gardeners start plants in materials most people discard: yogurt cups, egg cartons, paper cups, milk jugs, and even folded newspaper pots. This approach saves money while reducing waste, perfectly aligned with traditional values of thrift and resourcefulness. The process is straightforward. Collect suitable containers, clean them if necessary, and create drainage openings in the bottom. Fill with seed-starting earth, plant your seeds at the proper depth, and place in a sunny window or under grow lights. Label each container with plant variety and date. Popsicle sticks or cut-up plastic containers make perfect markers. For truly biodegradable options, make pots from newspaper folded around a small jar, or use empty eggshell halves or toilet paper tubes. When seedlings are ready for the garden, these can be planted directly in the ground where they break down naturally, eliminating transplant shock. This approach makes starting dozens or even hundreds of plants affordable for anyone and keeps usable materials out of landfills. Our next hack transforms waste plastic into miniature greenhouses that protect your early seedlings. Hack 22. Plastic bottle plant protectors. When spring weather turns unpredictable, traditional gardeners protect tender seedlings with a clever hack, transforming plastic bottles into personal plant protectors. These improvised cloches shield young plants from frost, wind, and temperature swings during those crucial early weeks in the garden. The technique couldn't be more straightforward. Cut the bottom of a clear plastic bottle, 1-liter sodas or gallon jugs work perfectly, remove the cap, and place it over seedlings like a miniature greenhouse. During warm days, remove the cap or lift the edge slightly for ventilation. At night, replace the cap to trap heat around the plant. These protective covers create a microclimate several degrees warmer than surrounding air, allowing earlier planting and faster growth. They're particularly effective for heat-preferring plants like tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers, giving them a protected start while night temperatures are still cool. As a bonus, these mini greenhouses deter pests like cutworms and protect tender seedlings from heavy rain or hail. When plants outgrow their covers, simply store the bottles for next season. Up next after the pause, unlock the power of banana skins, the surprising superfood your garden plants crave. Hack 23. Nourish plants with banana skins. Before you discard that banana skin, consider this. It's packed with potassium, phosphorus, and calcium, nutrients that help plants flower and produce abundant fruits. Traditional gardeners have long recognized this free resource as garden treasure. There are several ways to use banana skins in your garden. The simplest is to chop fresh skins into small pieces and bury them an inch or two beneath the earth near tomatoes, peppers, roses, or other flowering plants. As the skins decompose, they release nutrients directly to the roots. For a quicker approach, make banana skin water. Chop skins into small pieces, soak in water for 1 to 3 days, then use this nutrient-rich water for regular plant watering. The resulting solution feeds plants immediately, giving a noticeable boost to flowering and fruiting. You can even dry and grind skins into a powder to sprinkle around plants throughout the growing season. This slow-release approach provides continuous nutrition without the risk of burning plants. Hack 24. Remove faded blooms. In traditional flower and vegetable gardens, you'll rarely see faded, spent blooms hanging on plants. That's because gardeners practice deadheading, the straightforward act of removing flowers as they fade. This quick task triggers plants to produce more blooms instead of setting seed. The principle is straightforward but powerful. A plant's primary goal is reproduction. Once flowers are pollinated and begin forming seeds, the plant considers its mission accomplished and slows or stops producing new flowers. By removing spent blooms before seed formation, you trick the plant into creating more flowers in an attempt to complete its reproductive cycle. This technique works on most flowering plants, from marigolds and zinnias to basil and lettuce. Simply pinch or snip faded flowers just above the nearest set of healthy leaves or buds. For vegetables like beans, frequent picking encourages more production for the same reason. Regular deadheading can extend the flowering period by weeks or even months, resulting in significantly more blooms and harvests throughout the season. Now let's examine an ingenious solution for growing heavy fruits on vertical structures. Hack 27. Fruit support slings. When growing melons, squash, or pumpkins vertically to save space, traditional gardeners solve a common problem: fruits breaking off vines with straightforward homemade slings. These supportive hammocks cradle growing fruits, relieving strain on stems while allowing vertical growing even for heavy varieties. Making fruit slings requires nothing fancy. Strips of cloth, old t-shirts, pantyhose, or mesh produce bags work perfectly. Cut pieces long enough to wrap around developing fruits with extra length for tying to trellises or structures. As fruits grow, the slings stretch and support the increasing weight. This technique is especially valuable in compact gardens where space is at a premium. Growing vining crops upward